What is up, people? Welcome back to the channel. I know you guys have been waiting for this for a very long time, and we're not gonna delay this anymore. We're gonna get into it straight. A lot of Civic lovers, just like me, when the Civic was launched back in 2006, they fell in love with it. I was in 6th grade. I didn't know much about the engine. I didn't know much about the transmission or anything. I just knew one thing, that the car looked like a freaking spaceship. The interior was way more futuristic. It made you feel as if you're driving a spaceship. It didn't even matter that my feet were not able to reach the pedals. I just wanted that car in my driveway. That has been the story with almost every single one of us. The Civic 8 Gen was the first gen of the Civic that was launched here in India, and only the FD1 was launched. Now, we didn't know this earlier, but now we know that the 8th generation came with different models like the FD1, the FD2, and the FD2 Type R. The FD1, the one that we got here, came with a 1.8 liter SOHC single overhead camshaft engine producing around 130 to 130 horsepower. The FD2 on the other hand came with a K20Z3 or a K20Z2. I don't exactly remember, I could be wrong here, so you can Google that. And the legendary FD2 Type R came with a K20A. Now the K20A is the most performance oriented version of the K20 series. The head was completely different. The intake manifold was one of its kind, unlike any other performance variant of the K20, and the block had under piston oil squirters. Now, a lot of people want to do a K20A swap. They want to import the engine to India and then they want to put it in their Civics, and they just want to know if it is possible to build a Civic Type R in India if you really want to and if you have the budget for it. The answer is no. The thing is, the Type R is not only about the engine, the transmission, the helical LSD. Now, when I say LSD, I mean limited slip differential. So to the people, to the non-car guys, don't think that we're talking about the drugs. Now, Honda took these FD2s and then they reduced the weight and they reinforced the chassis in very specific places. That is why even if you put every single bit, every bolt from a Civic Type R to your Civic FD1 or FD2, it's never going to perform like an FD2 Type R. Now, if you guys are able to find the Civic FD2 Type R's brochure or catalog online, then after a few pages, on the 6th or the 7th page, I believe, you'll be able to find that page where they have mentioned the changes that they made to the Civic FD2 Type R body and how it is different from the FD2. They have even listed the places where they've done the reinforcement and the places from where they have taken a lot of weight out. Now, a lot of people must be wondering that, so what? We can import we can import the engine, we can import the ECU, we can import the trans, the helical LSD and all of that. We'll reduce a little bit of weight and then we'll reinforce the body. Now, first of all, this is considering that you're able to import the engine, the transmission and everything from a Type R to India, and this is an assumption, right? Because I'll tell you why it's not possible, but later. I'm trying to make a point here. If you've reached a point where you want to alter the body a little bit, if you've reached a point where you want to make changes to the body, trying to do it the way Honda did it is going to be a waste of time, because you're never going to be able to do it the way Honda did it. And the second thing is, if you're going to do some changes to the body, if you're going to reinforce the body, you might as well reinforce it a little more. You might as well make it a little better than the Civic Type R. Trying to pull off a Type R kind of reduction and reinforcement would be a waste of money. I'm saying this again. This is considering that you're able to import the K20A, you're able to import the 6-speed transmission, you're able to import the helical limited slip differential and all those things. Now, you're not going to make the changes to the body unless you're going on a track. For the street, it just doesn't make any sense. For the track, it would be wise to reduce a lot more weight, reinforce the car a little bit more so that you can get that extra stability, you can be a little more faster. Now, coming to the technical side of the Type R conversion, India has banned the import of used parts. Not a lot of people know this, but even I was asking a few people. I know someone who might have been able to import a whole used engine through a channel, but that channel doesn't exist anymore. So importing any used car parts is a big no these days, and it's completely illegal. You might end up in a big trouble if you try to pull something like that off, or you might end up losing a lot of money. Trying to build a Civic Type R is a lost cause, because you will never be able to import the performance blocks, and I don't think anyone is manufacturing it right now. If you do import it, it's going to be very, very expensive, considering India has also increased the import tax on car parts. It's like we're getting fired at from every direction. Fuel prices are rising up. The import duty on parts has increased. We cannot import used cars or used car parts. For those of you who are fine with the economy block and you want to do the conversion, you're gonna need a subframe from an FD2 or an FD2 Type R, whichever one you can get your hands on, because the R18 subframe doesn't support the K series. Either you'll have to run a different subframe or you can go for custom mounts, but those custom mounts have to be really precise and very well built. And yes, I did say that you cannot build a Civic Type R, but I didn't say that you cannot build an FD2 that is better than the Type R. I was not a big fan of the economy blocks. If you watched my video on the K swaps and the K series engine, then you know why. In a couple of years, I've come across a few builds where people have utilized the economy block really well. There is even one economy block doing around 1000 horsepower.
This motor exactly with that turbo and the exact package we have does 926 to the tire at 30 pounds of boost. And
what? 926?
It's a dedicated Formula Drift Civic. If you'll just search on YouTube, you'll be able to find it. I think Larry Chan covered it from the Hoonigan Autofocus channel, so you might as well want to check that out. If I'm right, if I remember correctly, because it's been like long time since I watched that video, that block was from a CRV, not from any other Type R or not any other performance oriented K series car. So what you can do is you can get an economy block from here. You can import any performance version of the K series head, and you'll have to import the FD2 subframe and I think even the oil pump. Sadly, because of the increase in the import duty, the K swap with the performance head, with the performance manifold, with the performance everything, it's gonna cost you around 10. Like, I'm talking about a completely built K series motor with an economy block, forged pistons, the performance head, the intake manifold, exhaust can be figured out here itself. When I say that the build is gonna cost around 10, by that I mean a proper project that makes sense, a car that you can drive on the streets and you can take it around on the track, a car that just makes sense, right? Because you're gonna need brakes, you're gonna need suspension, you're gonna need a lot of other things to go with that K swap. It doesn't matter if you have to cut down on the power a little bit. You must be targeting a figure while doing the K swap. If the car doesn't reach that figure, it's absolutely fine, but make sure that the brakes, the suspension and all those things, all those supporting mods, make sure that you pay attention to that. So a dedicated K swap build to make your car better than the Type R is gonna cost around 13 or 12, I guess, with the current hike in the import prices. Considering all those things, having a budget of 10 and 13 for a project car is a kind of big deal. I mean, not a lot of people have that money. The other thing is that you can turbocharge the R18. I was not really in favor of turbocharge the R18 because of the SOHC setup, but a couple of people with a very dedicated build, like a race spec build, a race spec turbo R18, have even beaten a few Evos outside. When I started watching those videos, I also started googling like how can the R18 handle that, and the reason for that is, which obviously I didn't know before, that R18 also came with the under piston oil squirters, and the block can also handle a little bit of the beating. If you want to turbocharge the R18, you can go for it. If you just want higher horsepower build, then turbocharging the R18 would be much better than doing a naturally aspirated K swap. Around 10 lakhs you'll be able to reach 450 horses or 500 or somewhere around 500 horsepower, but it's gonna cost almost the same. So it is actually your decision whether you want to keep the R18 or you want to go for a K swap. I don't have the budget for it. I want to do a K swap, but I don't have the budget for it right now. So I might turbocharge my car on stock internals and have fun with it till I blow it, and then go for a K swap. Till that time, if I'm able to build the budget for the K swap, I'll do the K swap. I don't really see myself turbocharging the R18. If I do turbocharge it, I'm not gonna build the R18. I'm simply gonna do it on stock internals and maybe with a used turbo kit just to reach around 200 horses. I believe that would be enough. I shouldn't be too ambitious with the R18 because I'm anyway gonna do the swap and I'm anyway gonna spend the money there. Now with that, you know what I'm gonna do with my Civic. Yes, I'm gonna do a K swap. I'm planning a K swap for my car. It's just that I want to make sure that it's better than the Type R because I cannot really build a Type R. A new turbo kit on the R18 would cost around 5-6 lakhs, I believe. Like the whole thing, like the turbo kit, plus the suspension, all those tweaks, a little bit of tweaks and all those changes, the ECU tune and everything would cost around 5. If you go for used one, it would be around 3 or 3.5, I believe. But these are all rough figures, and according to the kind of people that I met and according to what they told me, I'm telling you these figures. The figures can vary depending on where you are and what kind of garage or a performance shop that you choose in India to work with. It's not specific, so please don't hate me for that. So people who are all about the K-swap, get an economy block, get the performance head and the subframe and the oil pump from the outside from a performance variant, get it imported here. ECU, wiring, tune, all those things can be figured out here. There are a lot of good tuners here. If you need some help or if you want me to connect you to certain people, I will be able to do that happily. You can connect with me on Instagram. If you just want to do a K-swap, you can literally get everything from a CRV or an Accord, put it in your car and then turbo it. That would make a lot more sense. Whenever I'm able to afford a K-swap, I'm definitely going for a performance head. I'm not keeping the economy head. If I cannot afford a performance head, I might as well go with the economy head and then turbocharge it. There are a lot of variables and everything depends on the cost. To summarize, no, you cannot really build a Civic Type R, but you can build a Civic FD2 that is better than the Type R. If you have budget problems and you want more power, you can turbocharge the R18 on stock internals. If you just don't care if it's an R18 or a K24 or a K20, you're all about reaching 400, 450 or 350 horsepower, then you can definitely turbocharge the R18. It can handle it if you put forged internals and all that fancy stuff into it. If you do the supporting mods really well, go for a turbocharged R18 if you don't want a lot of headache. I, on the other hand, I like headaches, so I'm gonna pick another one up. I will try to do it in a way that my car becomes better than the Civic Type R. With that being said, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Like, share and subscribe. If you found this video useful, do drop a comment. If I've forgotten something, if there is something that I haven't answered, any query, anything, then just put it in the comments. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's my first actual video after a very long break. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for your time. Adios.